Hey guys, welcome to the Firearm Patriot channel. I'm Russ, and today I'm going to be taking a closer look at the Hellcat trigger. Now I have an Apex tactical kit for it that they've sent me. That kit's going to run $79.95, so we want to see whether or not it's worth the money and if it has enough value to justify that price. Now what you're going to get in that kit is you're going to get a trigger that's made out of aluminum. You're also going to get a sear spring and a striker spring. Now that's supposed to smooth out the trigger, lighten it up a little bit, not a great deal. I think you're supposed to get around a 5.5 pound trigger pull, which this pulls a little bit harder than that. In the stock form, you're supposed to get a shorter uptake and also a shorter reset. I think it's probably going to end up very similar to what you get with an Apex Glock trigger. Looking at the internals of this gun, they're very similar to a Glock in a lot of ways, and the installation process is pretty similar. So it's pretty simple to do, a little easier than what you would have in an Apex M&P trigger. I really like this gun. I think it's a solid platform, and I wouldn't mind carrying it. This one's optic ready, so I've got a Romeo 0 I'm going to put on it, and we'll do a video on that later. But one of the things that prevents me from carrying it is the fact that I carry the P365, which I think has a better trigger. It's got a shorter uptake, it breaks earlier in the trigger guard, a shorter reset, it's smoother. There's no safety blade in the center of it, and it's about a ½ ounce. My P365 runs about a 5 pound trigger pull on it. So a pretty good trigger, and it shoots very well. So, for me to start carrying the Hellcat, the trigger would have to improve quite a bit on it, because the 1 round difference in capacity is not going to make that much difference to me from a personal standpoint. So let's go ahead and take a little bit closer look at the stock trigger. We'll do some pull weights on that, and then also see what you get in the kit, and then we'll go replace the trigger, and I'll come back and tell you what I think of it. Okay guys, let's take a little bit closer look at the Hellcat. I really do like it. It's a small compact gun, 14 rounds available to you in this extended mag with one in the chamber. It's easy to shoot, it's easy to carry, it's light, it's 18.5 ounces with a extended magazine in. So there's just a lot to like about this gun. This particular one here is optic ready too, as I previously said, and so I really like it, but I'm not in love with the trigger. So hopefully this Apex kit will help us a little bit in relationship to this trigger. Now let's look at what you get for $79.95, and this is very similar to what you would get as far as a Glock trigger. You get a machined aluminum trigger here. You've already got your pin started there, and you're going to crank that in with a vise, but you've got a very wide trigger face. It's not completely flat, it's a little bit curved, as you can see, but you got a very wide surface there to get your finger on. I like that. I'm not sure that the safety blade is aluminum, it may be polymer, but certainly looks like the housing is aluminum. So if you don't feel like you can install these things, you can get a gunsmith to do that, but you're also going to get with this kit a couple springs. And take them out. This is going to be your striker spring, and then you're going to get a sear spring, which is going to look a little bit different than the sear spring that's in it. Again, if you've got any questions about installation, this is not an install video, so go to Apex Tactical's website, and they have a great installation video here for this Hellcat. But we're going to talk about a few things on it. We're going to make sure the gun's clear. We'll go ahead and get us some trigger pulls on here. The gun's a little bit hard to get trigger pulls on from my perspective, just because of the way the trigger's angled and so forth. The trigger does kind of, as you can see, kind of sticks out pretty far. I hope that the Apex trigger comes in a little bit more, so you got a little bit more finger room there, and maybe the break will be a little bit shorter, and that's really how Apex does that, by the geometry of the trigger. So because the trigger bar is going to stay the same, it's going to be the stock trigger bar, so that's not going to change anything. So let's go ahead and pull this trigger, and get spin safety checked. All right, 5 pounds. 11 ounces. £5 pounds, 13 ounces. And sometimes it's hard to get a good reading on this gun just because the shape of the trigger, it really, the trigger gauge kind of wants to slip down a little bit. Sorry about that. £6 pounds. So those are all fairly close. So on this trigger, I've got an average of 5 pounds, 13.5 ounces. So that's what we're going to go ahead and take a look at. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to take this gun apart, pull the trigger out. I'm going to take the trigger shoe or the trigger off the trigger bar, and I'm going to come back and compare those triggers to you. Also, another thing I like about Apex while I'm thinking about it is that they have a great safety protocol as far as their drop safety goes. They really test these things to make sure they're safe and that there's no issues. Appreciate that as a consumer and a customer that they're giving me a safe product, and it's at least as safe as the gun in stock form. So let's go ahead again, take the gun apart. Okay, we're back from installing the Apex trigger, and I'm out on the range now. Very easy installation job, took about 30 minutes. I do highly recommend that you put this trigger on the trigger bar with a vise. Don't try to do it with a punch. You're gonna probably jack the trigger up, so don't do that. Also check out Apex's installation videos on their website. Very good. They break everything down for you. Now, I'm really happy with the results that this trigger has provided so far. We'll go ahead and safety check the gun. Nothing in the magazine, nothing in the chamber. I'm going to go ahead and use this magazine just kind of a little bit leverage here. We do have kind of a small gun, so you've got the safety on the trigger. You know, it won't allow the trigger to engage unless that safety blade's depressed. So we've got some uptake, which is extremely smooth. Now, I have polished all the internal parts in this gun, and I would recommend you do the same. Here's the brake. Very crisp, very clean, very nice brake. Reset right there. Very audible, tactical. You can feel it. I don't care much about the audible, but I do like to be able to feel it. Right there, you can feel it. So short follow-up shots with that if you care about that. A lot of people will just let it go all the way back out. But a much smoother feel than you're going to have on the stock trigger. So that alone, in my opinion, is worth the $79.95 upgrade. Now these triggers are going to come in different colors. You got American flag now. You're also going to have a blue safety blade. You can get that as well. That's going to go to the Cops Foundation, which is a charitable organization, if you get that. But so far, pretty good trigger here. Very impressed with it. Let's go ahead and check the weight. Apex tells you you're going to get about a 5.5 pound trigger pull with this kit installed. Okay. Now I think I'm going to get a little better than that simply because I polished all these internal parts. I'd recommend you do that if you have time. It does take some time. Probably spend about an hour doing that. So, but I think the result's pretty good. So let's go ahead and check this trigger pull out. Go ahead and do 3 trigger pulls. Okay, average trigger pull, 4 pounds, 11 ounces. That's pretty consistent with what I've been getting. You know, again, we're close to 6 pounds, so we've taken, you know, close to a pound, well, actually more than a pound off of this trigger pull. So let's go ahead, take it over here to the cardboard, shoot it, then we'll shoot it out 25 yards and see how it does. Okay, guys, I got 10 rounds of Fiocchi 115 full metal jacket, factory ammo. I'm going to put it in this Hellcat. I'm going to shoot 5 rounds into the center of the target at 21 feet, and then 5 rounds in the head of the target. See how we can do with this new Apex trigger. You know, this gun is a little bit difficult with the stock trigger to hit what you're aiming at, just because it's a little bit heavier than, you know, I like personally. So let's go ahead and see what we've got here. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom in on that. So there's the head shots, and then going down here to the body shots, and there's the body shots. So to me, it's a much easier trigger to shoot accurately. So let's go ahead and take it out to 25 yards. Hey guys, in conclusion, I think this Apex trigger for the Hellcat is a tremendous upgrade for $79.95. Really allowed me to shoot the gun more accurately, and it was a lot more comfortable to shoot, and I didn't worry about pulling my shots off target. As you saw out there, we hit the 25 yard target 10 out of 10 times. I could only do that 5 out of 10 with the stock trigger. So that kind of gives you an idea of the huge improvement that you get with this. Again, I recommend you go ahead and polish in the internals. I think that'll, you know, cut your weight down by probably 8 ounces if you do that. And overall, easy to install, great benefit for the price. Couldn't recommend the trigger enough. So with that being said, this is the Firearm Patriot. Until next time, God bless America.